What is up guys, it is Simba here and welcome to another WOR video on the channel, and today it is round number 4 for the Texas Grand Prix around the circuit of the Americas. Now as you know, this is not exactly one of my strongest tracks, so we're going to try and do our best to get the best result possible, because after this it's Monaco, and that is all I'll say. If you haven't seen the last video, which was in Spa-Francorchamps, go check it out right now before you see this one, because spoilers ahead in 3, 2, 1. So there's your warning. We tried an aggressive undercut and it didn't quite pay off. We got a puncture and no points in the process. So we're looking to bounce back today, try and get the maximum result on a track I don't really like. So let's get into it and let's get into qualifying and see what we can do.
So here we go then, time for another qualifying session in WR this season, and we're going to be going around COTA but in the rain. As you can see, we're on the intermediate tyres, and before I say anything else, make sure you do get subscribed as the notification button popped up on the screen. But here we are, just finishing off our first lap in a wet qualifying. It's going to be my first time in qualifying doing wet running, so we're going to see how it goes. First lap is a 47.3, nearly a second off Adrian, who's on pole in the Haas. Kevin Zonneberg in second place there, and we've got to find a way to improve. So through turn 1, we immediately gain a few hundreds on the exit as we come towards the BTEC, Maggot and Beckett, as we go through the S section, flicking it from left to right through this long right-hander, and we swing it through, preparing for the next left-hander here. And we've gone purple, so already 3 tenths ahead of Chris, who's gone P2. So this track is just going to keep on ramping up in terms of track evolution. So it's important to get the laps in as soon as we can. And we're going to be skipping all the way to the end of Sector 3 here. So currently 9 tenths up on the Delta, and purple in the first 2 sectors. So it's getting faster and faster, is this track, as we're getting through this lap. Through turn 19, a little bit hesitant on the way through, not exactly nailing the turning point, but through the final corner, nice and smooth on the curb, decent traction as we come to the line, and that is pole position with a 46.3.
Hello there.
But it's not going to be for long, because Nico went 1.3 seconds faster, and we're still going on the same set of tyres as well. So we're going to see if we can complete this and take pole position back again. Through the middle sector, just a couple of hundreds down on Nico, nearly 3/4 of a tenth, separating ourselves from pole position as we come through the third sector now towards the triple right-hander, getting a decent exit, making sure we're following that dry line because it's really developing as this session goes on. So it's important to find the water in between the laps as we're fighting the car through the triple right-hander as we're going through the penultimate corner. A lot better than the last time, but we have a bit of a moment on the exit, and through the final corner once again, we're going to cross the line, and it's going to be pole position again.
Labash. Oh, come on now. God's sake.
Well, we were on pole for a few moments as Schumacher takes it by 3 tenths of a second, and we skip to the end of the session. 2 minutes and 12 seconds to go, and we're on a fresh set of intermediate tyres, and we're going to see if we can claim our first pole position in Tier 2, despite there being only 13 cars on the grid. Down the main straight, using the battery down to 70% as we prepare for turn number 1. A little bit flicking on the brakes as we go down to second gear, making sure that the traction is on point, and we are a few thousands up, nearly half a tenth up, before we enter the S section, as we're going to absolutely send it, flicking it through and preparing for this left-hander. And it's not a purple first sector, it is just under a tenth ahead of Langman, who's now in P2, so the times are coming down here, so it's important to get this lap right, as Crowding does a 43.6 as the Red Bull driver is on pole position, as we have a bit of a moment at the end of the S section. So it's not exactly going to help us. Through turn 11, a bit of a moment on the curb there as the car bottoms out, and we lose the rear end on the exit, but we're still 7 tenths up for the time being.
Right, so our fastest lap currently 1:44.7.
and we get an update on the lap, because I'm thinking this might not be enough to beat crowding, but we're going to the second sector now. Purple in the middle part of the lap, 6/10 ahead of Langman in one sector alone, so it's looking really, really good for a big improvement as we get a little bit wide on the entry through this left-hander. But we're coming towards the end of sector 3, where there's several cars on the mini-map, and they might prove to be in the way. Ward gets out of the way this time, but going into turn 19.
Oh, for God's sake, man! Get out the way! What's wrong with people? Fuck off!
I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I'm absolutely fuming.
Fucking dickheads,
we get damage at turn 19. We hit the back of Chris.
There.
And it just turns out that the Williams are typical. He's just parked on the apex. Even though there might be traffic coming through to finish laps. It's just so frustrating. I was absolutely fuming. And we're P10. We could have generally been in the top 5. Because I think we were nearly a second up. And there was definitely time at the exit of turn 19. But that is really, really annoying. Typical does have a qualifying ban. And he was begging it quite a bit afterwards. But it was so annoying. So annoying. But we're going to have to do with P10. It is our highest qualifying position of the season. But it definitely could have been a lot more. But we're going to get into the race. Because that's where you score points. And we're going to see what we can do from P10 on the grid.
So what are we doing in the race?
Medium tyres on the car. 5 red lights in front of us for the Texas Grand Prix for round number 4. And the lights are out. And we are underway. And look at the start. It's actually a good getaway off the line. We're pulling up alongside ESP Bobbitt's going into the first corner. What have I just seen? I've just seen about 5 cars go up the circuit at turn 1, and we emerge in P3. Nico has lost out at the start, so has Schumacher, and we get a warning in all the excitement as well. But that is a perfect start. I'm actually not complaining about starting 10th anymore. We would have been caught in the melee at turn number 1. Adrian leads, Christian second, myself in P3. But it won't last long because Schumacher is going to try and claim those places back as he starts with us. He goes up the inside at turn 11, and we're not really going to fight him too much as he gets through.
Can I have it? I don't really care about.
And I'm saying he can have it because, simply, he's got a 3-second penalty. So does Nico and Chris behind us, and I think Adrian has one as well. So people are getting penalties early on in the race, which is quite bizarre. I think everyone not really practicing the race as much. Or not doing as much race practice as they normally used to, because qualifying makes and breaks your race on this game, as Nico has a little bit of a look up the inside and we shrug him off and we hold on to P4. I was not really eager to lose another place to him, and the pace was feeling really good on this medium compound tyre. Just in general, the pace felt really good. The setup was actually quite nice as well, and considering it's not one of our strongest tracks, it is nice to feel a decent amount of pace as Nico's in the pits.
That's really early.
And you can hear me just say, that's really early. He's going to have to do 21 laps on a set of hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. But the main thing for us is, I know what lap we're going to pit on, and that's going to be lap number 10. So we're going to make sure that we get to that lap A-OK, as Adrian has a 3-second penalty. So Christian leads the way. He was swapping places with Adrian quite a few times across the laps. But he's not got a penalty, so we're in at P2 already, so we can definitely win this thing if we get the strategy right. As you can see, at the end of lap 10, Christian goes up the inside of Adrian to no avail, and Schumacher nearly getting involved as well. And this is going to be one of the small things I'm going to talk about that don't really help us out, and that's in decision making. So for example, I was thinking to box on lap 10, Adrian dives in, but for some reason, I decide to stay out. I don't know why I've done that, but we're staying out anyway.
Oh, Adrian's fucked his race now.
But Adrian won't be a concern anymore because he's just got a 10-second penalty. And I believe it was for cutting the corner. I think he went a few wheels over the red line in the pit lane entry. And he's got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. And he'll have to serve that in the pits. So Adrian's race is basically over. And he's out of contention for the race win. So now we're definitely in the net P2. I think we're on 2 warnings at this point. But at the end of lap 11, we are going to box for a set of hard tyres. making sure that we stay nice and safe in the pit entry, and we slow down for the pit lane.
I think we've left it 1 lap too late.
And you can hear me say, I think we've left this 1 lap too late. It's exactly the same mistake I made in SLR in Spain, where Jam pitted on lap 12 and I pitted lap 13. And it ended up giving Jam a lot of track position. And speaking of track position, Nico has made his way down to turn 1. Christian and Schumacher get to turn 1, but crucially, the second Ferrari car of Kevin Zonneberg gets in front of us by the time we get to turn 1. And this is not going to help us in any stretch of the imagination, because A, he's not pitted, so he's going to be slow, and B, he's Schumacher's teammate in EVR as well, so he's going to make sure to help his teammate, which is fine. You know, game's the game. If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd do the same thing as well to help my teammate win the race potentially. So it took us a while to pass him, which doesn't help. So a little lack of urgency from my side, as we do finally pass him at the start of lap 13. But the problem we've got now is we've lost DRS to Schumacher, who is only going to naturally catch Nico along with Christian as well, simply because we're on 4 lap fresher tyres. So there's quite a tyre delta between ourselves and the Sauber in front, as we're absolutely sending it as we need to get ourselves back into race winning contention with a purple sector 1. A personal best is followed up in sector 2, and we're coming towards the end of lap 13, where we cross the line at the end of it to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 34.8. And we are not really caring about ERS management. You can see we don't have not even 10% in the battery pack. And you can see we're so close to getting into DRS, just under a second to Schumacher. And we're going to stay on board here, because even though we're pushing really hard, we're going to naturally catch Nico anyway, because he's been on those tyres for quite a way longer, as we're still sending it through the middle sector, making sure that we're pushing the limits of track limits as we nearly go over the white line there. And by the time we get out of the S section, we just get into DRS. So we've done a really good job there to get back in and to push hard when we were needed, when it was required to do so. So now we can actually think about settling down and maybe winning this race.
No, no, no! What am I doing? Fuck!
And as soon as I say that, it's a penalty, and a painful one as well. And we're entering a very crucial lap of the Grand Prix. You can see Christian has got past Nico for P1 on track. Now, it takes Schumacher a little bit longer than he would have liked to pass the Sauber as well. And I think Nico's on 6 seconds of penalties. So he's completely out of contention for the race win. And Christian will be ramping clear, especially with Schumacher trying to shove his way through. You can hear me not impressed in the background as he shoves his way through. And he's lost DRS to Christian. And at this point, I'm not happy, because I'm starting to think about the car behind us, which is crowding. He's 4 seconds behind, and if we keep flirting around with Nico, we're not going to be on the podium.
Yeah, crowding's going to get a podium. If these two keep squabbling like this, it's ridiculous.
And that's where Schumacher annoys me quite a bit, but we're going to try and pass him round the outside into turn number 12.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
We get a little squeeze off the track, but we do emerge in front by the time we get to turn 13. And we're up into P3 in this race, but that's the thing that annoys me with Schumacher, because it doesn't really seem that he thinks about the bigger picture. As long as he gets ahead, he won't really care, and he will try and shove his way through regardless on how it affects his own race, or thinking about the bigger picture in terms of what position he's fighting for, or even the car behind, because in this case, crowding is going to catch if we are not careful and we don't deal with this Sauber accordingly. So it's really frustrating, but we've managed to get ahead, and we can think about passing the Sauber of Nico in front of us. But the problem is, that penalty is not going to help, because it's really shot us in the foot. Because if we're not careful, crowding will get in our penalty range, and we might not be on the podium. And the race win is pretty much gone at this point, because as we pass Nico on lap 19, you can see the gap between myself and Christian. He's pulled away, and he's the only person in this battle without a penalty. So Christian's got this in the bag, unless he makes a mistake or he gets a penalty, or we get into his DRS and put pressure on him into making a mistake. So it's pretty much wraps for the race win, but we're going to keep pushing. We're not going to give up. Still a chance for something to happen in league racing, especially in the later laps. Lap 25 we skipped to. We've been showing pretty good pace in clean air, and we've got the gap down to 1.5 seconds from 2.1. So I think I felt quite a way quicker than Christian in this race, and it's just a bit of a shame that we're not exactly fighting for the win, but we can still definitely fight for it on track, as the gap now by the time we get out of the S section, it is 1.4 seconds, and unfortunately Schumacher is still filling up my mirrors. As you can see, he's still right behind us. So I was thinking maybe we can swap with each other, try and work together, because the gap between ourselves and crowding is 3.5 seconds, so we have half a second margin over the Red Bull driver in terms of keeping our podium place intact. We let Schumacher go, but it's something I wish I didn't do. I wish I didn't do this at all, because unfortunately, even though he was right on my gearbox and filling up my mirrors, the minute he was in clean air, he's not exactly going to have the pace I was thinking. Of course, he won't care. He's leading the championship. He'll be caring about, extending his lead in the championship. But that swap has cost us 0.7 of a second. 0.7. The gap is back up to 2.1, and crowding is literally flirting with a 3-second gap on the other hand as well. So this is not looking good. Schumacher has lost a lot of time. The gap's up to 2.4 seconds. We've lost a second as he goes wide through turn 11, and I really wish I didn't do this, but we're going to try and repass him reluctantly.
What a mistake that was.
Okay, good work. Okay, mate, this is the final lap of the race. Final lap.
And I say reluctantly because we're going to have to do some defending on this last lap. P2 is still on the cards here as we start the final lap of this race. The gap is back down to 1.7 seconds. So we've gained 0.7 on the McLaren again, but it's just too little too late. It's not going to be enough because Christian has basically managed this very well, and we're running out of tyres as we've been pushing for the majority of this stint. So it's going to be difficult to hang on, and I think there's a yellow flag there. Nico's tyres have finally given way. He was looking like he was going to get an easy P5, but it's an awful day for him, and I don't think he'll be getting many points out of this. It'll be his first of the season, but not many in a frustrating race for a driver who definitely has potential in this game. Meanwhile, Schumacher isn't done with us. He's going up the inside at turn number 12. We're going to try and get a switch back and see if we can try and retain position. Into turn number 13 we go. We decide to relinquish the place because we have to now think about crowding, who is closing in on this final lap. Schumacher is going to get a podium. He's going to extend his championship lead and his podium streak in every race so far this season. Christian is going to win the race. Schumacher's got P2 on the final lap, but are we going to be on the podium? Let's find out. Going through the final two corners, we missed the apex there, which is a corner I was struggling with the whole race. Through the final corner, we slide out of it, and do we get P3?
Yes! Oh, thank God. Honestly. Oh.
And the answer is yes. By 0.06 of a second, we take the final podium spot in P3 in the Texas Grand Prix. And there is your race winner, Christian Schumacher. P2 and ourselves P3 by 0.06 of a second, and I was really happy and I'm relieved to get a podium. Because I remember the race in Spain where I was literally being hard on myself the entire time. It was not an enjoyable race. To getting a podium on a track that hasn't been a strong point for me in these games is really nice, and the pace finally showing in this race. I know there was a limited attendance, but you've got to beat what's in front of you, and that's exactly what we did by getting the podium. And there is something else, because here on screen is an incident, a 10-second penalty for Schumacher for the incident with Nico at turn number 1. He gave Nico damage, and the stewards deemed that to be a penalty, which means we're promoted to P2, and crowding gets up to 3rd. Schumacher drops to 4th as Langman was away behind. But P2, our best finish of the season, my best finish in Tier 2, and I'll take it from 10th on the grid. I think we could have won the race if not for the penalty and a few moments of mismanagement, especially letting Schumacher through in the final few laps. But the pace is starting to show, and we've got a result to talk about as well, which makes me happy. We're making progress with this game, and we're going to keep on going. And I'll show you the standings in the next race as well, which is going to be Monaco, which is not going to be fun. But guys, there you go, a podium finally. Make sure you hit the like button, get subscribed for more league racing content. Check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already. And as always, take care, and I'll see all of you in the next one.